All right. All right, so today we're going to speak about one of the great giants. 1 second. We're going to speak about one of the great giants, the third one in the series of Tanoim that are connected to Svira. It's actually, he should have been the first one in the age. This is Rabbi Akiva. So you have, no, you should take Ein Yaakov Aleph. Ein Yaakov Aleph. We're going to use, no, because we're going to be using Aleph and Daled. We're going to be using Aleph and Daled. I'm going to try to highlight some interesting, he has a phenomenal life story. And I'm first of all tell you something that probably you didn't know, Moshe. It's very hard to share with you things that you don't know. I consider you a genius. And you don't see who it is, right? But he's a genius. You know how old Rabbi Akiva was when he passed away? You know how old? There were 4 people that passed away at 120 years old. One of them was Rabbi Akiva. Moshe Rabbeinu passed away at 120 years old. I think it was Rabbi Yochanan Mazakeh passed away at 120 years old. And Rabbi Akiva passed away at 120 years old. There was many... No. Anyways, let me get my... I have a very short period of time. I have a lot of things I have to say. If you want, you can sit here and you give the class. You know, you're the genius. Anyway, so Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Akiva was 120 years old when he passed away. He had I mean it in a very rich, colorful life. And his Torah life started at what age? It's famous. At 40. Until he was 40, he was so not involved. If you could say, there was a statement that he himself said, that he said that in his earlier life, in this earlier stage of his life, if somebody would have showed him an Ama'ara, somebody would have showed him a Talmud Chacham, he would have said, I would have ripped him apart. He had such hate to a Talmud Chacham. And there was different explanations what he really meant. Did he really mean that he didn't like the Torah studying of the Talmud Chacham, or he didn't like those who were arrogant Talmid Chacham? You know those people who, you know those people, right?
No, we've never.
Yeah, everyone but us. Yeah. I'll get you back for that. Don't worry. Okay. Anyways.
You shouldn't have asked that question.
No, I set myself up. Okay. Don't worry. I'll put you back. Anyways, the simple shot is he didn't like the arrogance of the ones who. But until he was 40, he was a simpleton. His whole life of the great Rabbi Akiva started at 40, and we all know the story. And it's actually brought in Avis to Rav Nosson, how he went to saw the water dripping on a rock, and drip by drip, drop by drop, it penetrated the big boulder, big rock, and he said if it drip by drip, drop by drop could do it to a big stone, little by little it could penetrate a person's mind, and even a person like me, even a person like us, slowly by slowly. And it even describes how him and his son went to learn Aleph Beis, and they held the little charts, and they learned Aleph Beis. It's described how they learned Aleph Beis at 40. By the way, this is a tremendous lesson today's days for the Bali Tshuva that come late in life. It's Rabbi Akiva. Now look who he became. Anyways, so Rabbi Akiva, at 120, and then he's the great Rabbi Akiva that had 24,000 Talmidim. Rabbi Akiva, the one who we just celebrated, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Lag BaOmer, is his student. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is his student. The great Talmidim that we know, many of them are his students. All right, so we don't have too much time to go through his whole life. So I decided I'm going to learn some of the Gemaras that his life is very rich from the beginning, how he became interested and what brought him closer until his end of his life. You know the end of his life? He's considered one of the Asara Rugi Malchus, one of the martyrs, one of the 10 martyrs. He didn't die from old age. He didn't die just 120 and time is up. His Rahman al-Islam, he was combed. The Romans combed his skin to death. Combed for spreading Torah. He was one of the martyrs, and you know when his yahrzeit is? Yom Kippur. It was done on Yom Kippur. So there's a lot to learn. So let's pick and choose. Let's pick and choose some of the highlights of Rabbi Akiva's life, and I'll tell you there is a fascinating sikha from the Rebbe that when you have time, you should learn it, because one of the things the Rebbe speaks about, who is one of his teachers, is the famous Nachum Ish Gamzu. You ever heard of Nachum Ish Gamzu? Did you just say you don't know something? Could you? Kurish just said, I don't know. I'm not going to say your last name. Good. I paid you back. Nachum Ish Gamzu, he was very famous for saying Gamzu L'Toiva. This too is good. So you know, Gamzu, that's why he's Nachum, whatever he said, Gamzu L'Toiva. And the Gemara says the famous story that he was carrying a bag of jewels to go to the king, and it was stolen. You know the story, right? Moshe, you also a little shaky in the story? And they stole it from him. They swapped it and they put in sand, and they gave it to the king. You know, and he said, and he said, use it. I'm a great grandson from Avram Avinu, and just like Avram Avinu used the.
He didn't say it. It was one of his.
Yeah, and right, they used it, and it used the same trick. Avram Avinu, and it used it became a miracle happened. It was used like swords and arrows, etc., etc. Gamzu L'Toiva. You just have genuine belief in Hashem. Gamzu L'Toiva. So having a teacher like that, who has such faith, what kind of effect does that have on the children? I keep on saying that I told this to big rabbis lately also. In the Shtetlach, they used to say that the rabbi of the city wasn't the chassid, was usually the misnagid. The person who knew how to learn didn't have to necessarily be the chassid. It's a computer. You just have to know the answer. Who was the chassid? Who is the most chassidish person? The malamed, the one who teaches your children, the one who has the Yirah Shamayim, and that person lived Yiddishkeit. The Malamdim were the Fabrein, the Mashpiyim, those were the real Chassidish people. I heard lately a very nice thing. I heard lately a Breslev of a Chassid saying that you go into different yeshivas, you ask a Bacher, what sugya, what topic are you learning? So this Bacher would say, I'm learning the topic of Tokfri Koyin. It's a very difficult sugya in Gemara. Big machlekes. I'm learning the topic of migui. I'm learning these are difficult topics. If you ask a Breslev what topic am I learning, Kol man da'aver Rachmana lo ta'avovid. I'm learning the topic of whatever Hashem does is good. So, and for how long are you learning that topic? So, a typical bacher could learn in yeshiva a month, 2 months, 3 months. How long could you study one page? 2, 3. A Breslev Chassid could say, you know what? I'm studying this topic that whatever Hashem does for me, does in my life, is for the good. 10 years. My whole life, I'm developing this feeling that whatever happens in my life, I'm proud to say I'm living with this feeling forever and ever. I'm developing more of this in my life. So anyways, why am I saying this? Because Nachum was Rabbi Akiva, one of Rabbi Akiva's teachers. Nachum is this Ish Gamzu L'Toiva. Rabbi Akiva is the one that came up with a different slogan. Kol man da'avid rachamana l'ta'avovid. Whatever Hashem does is for the good. The two slogans seem to be very, very much the same. Gam zu l'toiva. This too is for the good. That's what his teacher taught. Gam zu l'toiva. This too is for the good. That's what his teacher taught. Rabbi Akiva says, Kol man da'avid rachman l'tav avid. Whatever Hashem does is good. And the Rebbe has a fascinating sikha explaining the difference between the two. The teacher taught, even though this is really bad, something good will come out of it.
I thought it was the opposite.
Or
I think it's the opposite.
is it a higher level?
The thing itself is like by Rabbi Akiva, it's really insulting.
You think so? Okay, I didn't have. You're right. It could be. The Rebbe, whatever. I'm just telling you that something like this. How Nachum said, "Gamzu l'toiva," and Rabbi Akiva says, "Kol man da'avid rachman l'tav avid." I didn't have a chance to review that sikha. Just a simple mission in life, a mission statement in life, teacher and student. Anyway, so I thought we'll start off with that story. Just review quickly that story, and then we'll move on a couple of more stories in the Gemara about Rabbi Akiva. One of them is particularly connected to Shavuos. Hashem at one point was asked, why didn't you give the Torah to Rabbi Akiva instead of Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, such a great guy like Rabbi Akiva, instead of giving it to me, you should have given the Torah through Rabbi Akiva. That's how great he was. Okay, so I need you to look at page, where am I up to? And your Gemara, where is it? Daf Samach. Samach Amid Beis. Samach Amid Beis. Where is it over here?
Is that the...
In Aleph.
Okay.
Samach Amid Beis. You have it here? I'm sure it's in there. I have the Gemara. Monach Tefillin. Hold on. Where? What do you have it? Kihadra here. On page 194. You have page 194? Maish, you have page 194? Jonathan, you can look at Aleph. You can actually look at this one. 194. You can look at this one.
Yeah, I have it. Do you have? You guys have? Yes, we have.
Amar Rav Huna. You got it? Are you looking at the right one? Yeah. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Mishum Rav Meir. Rav Huna said, in the name of Rav, in the name of Rav Meir, V'chein Tana Mishmei de Rabbi Akiva. La'olam Yehei Adam Ragil Leimar. You see? Kurish. La'olam Yehei Adam Ragil Leimar. A person should always be accustomed to say, Kol da'avid rachmana l'tav avid. Whatever Hashem does, He does for the good, for the best. A person should train himself. It's interesting, by the way, because the Gemara always refers to Hashem as Rachmana. You know, in Aramaic, Brich Rachmana, right? And he brings a story. Kiha, a story. It's a famous story. Kiha de Rabbi Akiva, Davika Azu Ba'orcha. There was a story that Rabbi Akiva once was traveling. Mata lahi masa. He came to a city. Bo ushpiza. He came to a city. He wanted a place to sleep. La yarvlei. Nobody was willing to help him. When we came to some rotten place, yeah. Amar, he says, you know what? Kol da'avid rachmana l'tav. I'm sure whatever happened. I skipped something? Okay, I'm reading. Okay. I'm reading this gis here.
Yeah, maybe this is because that's what he has here.
Okay.
Called the Abdin Man Shmaya.
Okay. Azal uvas bedavra. He went and slept outside in the field. Nobody lets him in his house. He sleeps in the field. Vahave bahadei tarnegoyla. It's not like today with like Shimon Achman. He has a fancy Porsche. Big deal. You won't sleep. You won't give him a hotel. He'll sleep in his Porsche. Right? No. He doesn't have a Porsche. What did he have? He had a tarnegoyla. He had a rooster, the chamra, the chamara, and a donkey, a shraga, and a lamp. That's it he had. Asa zika, a wind came, kabya l'shraga. Here starts the fun. A wind came and blew out the lamp. No more light.
Because in this gear set, it's backwards. It's backwards.
Whatever. I'm just reading. Don't shoot the messenger. No, regular weekday. Asa shunra, a cat came. Achle l'tarna goyla, ate the rooster. Asla arye, a lion came. Achle l'chamara, and ate the donkey. Amar, he says then, called the avirachmana l'tav. He says, Rabbi Akiva says, whatever Hashem does, obviously is for the good. Beibel Leila, that night, Asa Gaisa, an army came, Shaiva Lamasa, and they captured the people in the city. But they didn't see him, because he didn't have light. He didn't have a donkey or rooster making noise. Amaluhu, Lav Amri, Amaluhu, so he said to them, Lav Amri Luchu, did I not tell you, Kol Masha Isa Kadesh Baruch Hu, L'Koyel L'Teva? Didn't I tell you that whatever Hashem does is for the good? I was saved. I lost my donkey. I lost my light. I lost my rooster, but I have my life. I have my life. Now, if you would have let me into the Hilton Hotel, I would have been
Captured by the bad guys.
by the bad guys. This was Rabbi Akiva's mission in life. Kol ma she'avid rachmana l'tav avid. Now, that's the first thing you have to know about Rabbi Akiva. Now, we're going to go to the end of his life. Why am I going to the end of his life? Because the end of his life is also going to come back to the beginning of his life. Please turn 2 more pages to, the Mishnah goes on to say, Chayav Adam levarach al hara kashem shemevarach al hatova. That a person has an obligation to thank Hashem for the negative that goes on in the person's life with the same enthusiasm, the same thankfulness to Hashem, the same excitement. 61b. Exactly the same way as you thank Hashem for the good that Hashem does to you. On page Kuf. You go to page Kuf. Page Kuf. This is also a very famous story. This is also with Rabbi Akiva. And I'm surprised Shimon Achman is laying low, because Shimon Achman should start quoting off from Pirkei Avos. How many of the famous statements that we know, we quote, are from Rabbi Akiva? So many of the famous statements of Pirkei Avos are from Rabbi Akiva. And Durham, again, you come up with the weird ones. The famous ones. HaKol Nasim Be'eravin, everything, the world is, the Eibishter watches everything, and everything, all the famous things that we know is from Rabbi Akiva. Adam Shem Nivra B'Tselem, Adam Banim Matam Lashem Alekechem. That's a pasuk. All right. Listen to this. You have the Tanya Rabbi Elazar Gadol Omer. You see what I'm up to?
Yeah.
Rabbi Elazar Gadol says, this is about the pasuk where we say in Shema, V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, that we have a mitzvah to love Hashem. So Rabbi Elazar says, Im nema b'chol nafshecha, if the pasuk says that we have to love Hashem with our whole heart and soul, lama nema b'chol ma'itcha. What if we have to give away our life, obviously with all our money? V'im nema b'chol ma'itcha, lama nema b'chol nafshecha. I don't get it. It's a given. Ella. So the Gemara goes on and says, I want to spell it out as simple as I could. I want to spell it out. There are some people that are money hungry. And I want to tell it to you as it is. Im yesh lecha adam, if you find a person, shegufay chaviv alav, if you find a person that he likes himself more than he likes his money, lekach nema b'chol nafshecha. So for him we say that he has to go on Mesiras Nefesh for Hashem. V'im yesh lecha adam, and if you find a person shememaynoi chaviv alav migufay, that he likes his money more than he likes himself, for him we say b'chol ma'itcha, you got to give away all your money for Hashem. Okay. Now Rabbi Akiva says, you know what? Let's get to the point. The bottom line is b'chol nafshecha afilu noitelas nafshecha. Simple translation. What does b'chol nafshecha mean? That you have to go on Mesiras Nefesh for the sake of Hashem. And now let me tell you a story. Tana Rabbanon Pam Achas Gazra Malchus Harisha Shelo Yasku Yisrael B'Torah. There was a story once that the wicked Goyim made a decree that the Jews are not allowed to study Torah. But Papas ben Yehuda, Papas, the son of Yehuda, came. Rabbi Akiva. It's amazing. There's always somebody. Always find. Last time we had Rabbi ben Tradian, remember? And we always have. And he sees Rabbi Yehuda. Sees Rabbi Akiva. Shaya makil kehilis barabim. Here, there's the guy is threatening us, and this Papas ben Yehuda sees Rabbi Akiva. Doesn't care. He has big shiurim in the education room. Makil